I love all the encouragement. This is how you do online digital community. We can't do face-to-face, but in some ways we can do it better. When we write it out, we let people know, this is what you mean to me. I miss you today. I wish I could give you a high five, a fist bump, a hug. I can't, but I'm going to tell you that you're essential. And so as we dive into our message today, before we do, if you haven't already, click the share button on your phone. There's somebody in your feed right now who's scrolling along and they need some hope. They've been looking at the news feed and they got fear and they need some hope and encouragement today. So if you haven't already, click that share button. I want to see people find hope. People find meaning and purpose in the midst of all this tragedy, in the midst of all this chaos. It's often when God's doing something in people's lives. So when you click that share button, it's a quick way. It's a very easy, quick way to do that. So when you do that, just know you're spreading hope. We started last week with this series called Flatten the Curve. We said we need to flatten the curve. I got some notes there that I'll show up here a little bit later. But we said in that, we looked at Ephesians, the armor of God. We're going to continue on that. I'll read it in a little bit. But the basic premise, this has been our kind of theme throughout, is Jesus is with us. Jesus is for us. And Jesus always wins. If you got nothing else out of last week, remember this: Jesus is with you. Jesus is for you. And Jesus always wins. And when we looked at the book of Ephesians, it's 6 chapters. It's an amazing book. Paul wrote it. He was in prison. He was social distancing, not by choice. And he couldn't be with them. But man, he was still preaching and still working and knowing that it's still going today. He's still preaching today. So he shares in Ephesians that in the first 3 chapters, all of these great things that God has given to us through Jesus. And so basically, who's got it better than us? And Paul would say, nobody. I mean, we don't deserve any of it, yet here we are, and now we're on God's side. He loves you. He's for you. You're His masterpiece. He's got a big plan and a big purpose. A lot of us, if you don't notice, like there's such a big thing happening right now that this is your time. This is your moment that God wants to use you in somebody's life. And He's saying Jesus always wins, and He rounds it out in Ephesians chapter 6 with the armor of God. And he says in verse 10 of chapter 6, I'll bring it back up on the screen so you can read it with me. It says a final word. I'm rounding it out. Here's how I'm going to give you a picture. I want to give you an illustration. Be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Now I want you to put this into the comments. How strong have you felt this week? On a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being I've been feeling very strong, or 10 I'm super strong. Maybe it's a mix. I've had some 2 moments and some 10 moments. Let us know how strong. He's saying be strong, and there's been some moments. If I'm honest, I'm like I haven't been very strong this week. I've had some moments when I feel like a 2. And I'm weak and I'm scared. And I'd say if you're not scared, at some point in this week, you're like a robot. All right, we have legitimate fears, legitimate anxieties. So where have you been? Share with me a little bit. Where are you? How strong have you felt this week? And let me just say this too. I see some of you guys jumping on there, but guys, I need your voice, all right? Ladies, you guys, I knew you'd be awesome on social media. Guys, we need, not just on today, but throughout the week, I need your voice. I'll put it out there like this. If you don't participate, you're a wuss, all right? I don't know what I got to say. I want to hear your voice, guys. So again, as I'm preaching, you guys chat it up. How strong have you felt? Scale of 1 to 10. Share us a little bit. Be a little bit vulnerable. Take a risk. Have you felt great this week? Has it been a little bit hard? He says, be strong in the Lord. Okay, so I found when I'm not feeling strong, I'm trying to find strength in my own self, in my own circumstances. He says, no. Be strong in the Lord. All right, there we go. I see it. I see you, Greg Sharp. Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing. Between a 2 and an 8. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I appreciate that. There's Rendell sharing a bit of love on there too. I love it, guys. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can I say that again? You can say that again. Okay. All right. I'm starting to get caught up in the comments. I'm going to go back and forth just so you know. He says, be strong in the Lord. He says, put on all. Everybody say all. Because you can't just put on some. You got to put it all on. Put on all of God's armor so that you'll be able to stand firm against the strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies. You're not fighting against your spouse, all right? Just say this right now. If you're married and you're watching this, say this. My spouse, go ahead. My spouse is not my enemy. I know it might have felt like that this week, but we're not fighting against flesh and blood enemies. Say it again. Some of y'all need to, I'm right in your home. I'm right in your kitchen. I'm right in your refrigerator. I didn't even ask. I just strolled into your house, got into your refrigerator. I'm eating your food now. Your spouse is not your enemy. Your kids are not your enemy. Whatever physical, relational battle you're facing today, there's a spiritual battle underneath. And he says very clearly, put on all the armor of God. Because so that you'll be able to stand firm against all the strategies of the devil. For we're not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities in this unseen world. Mighty powers in this dark world and against evil spirits in heavenly places. Strategies. I want to talk about strategies. And I'm sorry I'm getting behind on my notes there. This is kind of new as well as I'm trying to preach and use some software and see what all the comments are coming in. There he goes. We're not fighting against flesh and blood enemies. We're not fighting against them. What strategies does the devil use against you and I? What strategies does he use? Because he uses these specific target attacks. Some of you guys have said, well, I felt like a 5 or a 6. I see that, Starla. Some of you guys said, hey, I'm a roller coaster between 8 and 2. Our enemy, Satan, he knows your weaknesses. He knows the anxiety. He knows your past. So he's going to use all of those things against you. 1 Corinthians chapter, or 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Let me pull this verse up. It says, Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Think about that. He's deceptive. It is... He's gonna use things that are what I would call true-ish statements. They're true-ish. There's like a little bit of a sliver where it looks true, sounds true, feels true. Everything seems so right, but there's just a little bit of an ish in there to move it off. I mean, have you ever heard someone saying to someone or someone saying this? Well, it's just as long as you're happy. As long as you're happy, that just makes you feel good. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, right? I mean, I can just, I may not be, it's all right, but as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. I wonder what strategies Satan uses against you. I mean, have you ever heard someone say, God, he'll never give you more than you can handle? That's not in the Bible. There's some truth to it, and he'll never tempt you more than what you can bear. But I think the whole point of life is to say in all of this, right now, this is more than I can handle. And I think the whole part of life is Jesus is saying, hey, come to me, all you who are weak and burdened and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Like you've been given more than you can handle. Sin is more than you can handle. And he's saying, give it to me. I want you to look to me and give it to me. But sometimes we'll say this, no, he'll never give you more than handle. Or have you ever heard someone say, well, it's just me and Jesus. I don't need the church. Well, first off, it's Jesus and I. That's grammatically incorrect. But it's just you and Jesus is your relationship. But he wants you to work with people. You're meant to be with people. That's why we're struggling right now, is because we're like, hey, I'm not meant to live in isolation. Well, if God were loving, okay, that's true. Then why all this chaos? Why all this death and disease? Or have you ever heard someone say, I'll just live my truth? I mean, I'm just living out my truth. And if you just think about the word truth, and as soon as you put my in front of it, the word truth just goes out the window. So we have these truest statements. And we think these things to ourselves too. Well, if I was a good Christian, then I wouldn't be struggling with this. I wouldn't have struggled with so much porn this week. I wouldn't be dealing with this addiction. I've drank too much alcohol this week. If I were a good Christian, I would haven't done these things. You want to get better. These are true-ish. He'll use these things against us. That's why sometimes you'll see even other religions that say some actually very true scriptural things. They look great. But then you start looking into the other things, and there's a lot of ish in it. He disguises himself as an angel of light. He won't give you the whole truth. He'll give you partial truth. Here's how I can explain this. I'm going to mess with my camera here. He's not going to come at you with an obvious, this is out of line, out of focus, out of alignment. It's obvious. We're going to be like, that's an obvious bad choice. No, he disguises himself as an angel of light. So it's super deceptive. You know what he's going to do, where he's going to come at you? He wants it off just slightly. He doesn't want you seeing what's all happening over here in my kid's bedroom and all that sort of stuff. No, he wants it just a little bit off, just a little bit crooked, enough to just disturb you. For all of those, you're like, man, I need to straighten it up. I need to do that. He disguises himself. It's not going to be obvious. Now, let me try to fix this here. I wonder what strategies he's using against you. And that might be crooked the rest of the day, and some of y'all just need to deal with it. What strategies does he use? He wants it off just a little bit, 1 degree. He's not looking for 180 degrees off. You would see that and know it a mile away. No, he's deceptive. It's going to look good. When are you vulnerable? That's the other thing too. He's not just going to know the what of deception. He's going to attack you when. When are you most vulnerable? Maybe put that, or when do you see people most vulnerable to falling into this deception? Put them in the comments, because I'd love to hear what you have to say in this. I'm checking out some of your comments too. When is it? One, it could be pride. You got so much pride. This is how it comes out. I'll do what I want, when I want, how I want. He knows you got that pride, and so he knows, hey, God's going to make you do something that you don't want to do. And so he knows to ping that, and he'll use that strategy against you. He'll use your pride and narcissism against you. He'll use conflict and tension. I mean, we want peace. So when you are in conflict, he's going to attack you then. These are the strategies of when he's going to attack you, when God's silent. Where are you, God? I tried to hear from you. I don't know where you're at. He's going to attack you when God is not talking. He's going to attack you when you're alone. He's going to come after you when you're isolated. Guess what? This is like prime territory where he's attacking you, mainly up in here. At your mind, in your heart, in your soul. Why? You're alone. There's conflict, there's tension. Whenever there's change, there's going to be conflict and tension. God may be silent right now. God, what are you doing? What the heck? I didn't see this coming. I need some help, God. I need some answers, God. And he's silent. Oh, it leaves a crack in there for him to come. We're dealing with all the strategies of the devil. We're fighting a battle. If you didn't know this, you're in a battle. Whether you want it or not, you are in a battle. And the devil, the enemy, is using some strategies against you. And he's going to come at you when you're alone. When you got pride and narcissism, he's going to come at you with silent and alone. He could just use one of those and come after you. But it's like a barrage that's coming on. How about this? When something else, when another option looks better, take it back to the garden. You want to see the strategies of the devil? It hasn't changed since the beginning. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Genesis chapter 2. Adam and Eve, they're in the garden. Things are great. They're in Eden. It's awesome. And then they're talking to a snake, which, by the way, time out. If you ever catch yourself talking to a snake, run. Don't do it. All right, run. Just if you see a snake, just run, okay? I don't want anything to do with it, but I don't know why, all right? If a snake talks to you, run. Definitely don't talk back to it. That's a bad sign. But anyway, that's for another story. Did God really say, this is the snake, this is Satan as the serpent, says, did God really say you must not eat from the fruit of any tree in the garden? And there it is. Did God really say? He's going to attack truth. He didn't just say as a flat out lie or contradict or say something else. He's going to pose it as a question. Did God really say that? Now, she goes on. She goes, God said, and she knew what God said. All right? She knows what God said. She said, you must not eat of it or even touch it. If you do, you will die. All right? And then watch the true-ish statement here. Watch this. You won't die. The serpent replied. Now, question. Did they die? True-ish. They didn't die right away. So true. You won't die. True. Absolutely true. Ish. Anybody seen Adam or Eve lately? Yeah. So he's true-ish. Did God really say he's going to attack God's word? He's going to attack truth. Did God really say that sex was reserved for marriage? I know that's old-fashioned, and I know that's like so out of date. Did God really say that? I mean, we're in love. I mean, do we need a marriage certificate to have that? I mean, did God really say that? He's going to attack truth. And then he's going to make it a true-ish statement. It looks good. It feels good. It sounds good. Oh, but it's off just a little bit. Just think about this. Here's straight line. Here's the straight line. Again, he doesn't want me to go way off course. That would be too obvious. No, he's looking for about a 1 degree of separation. That's all he wants. 1 degree of separation. And as we take our next steps, it's so deceptive. We didn't know it. And we've drifted. And you take that miles or years down the road, and we've drifted so far, what started right here as a crack. If you want a firm foundation to flatten the curve, you got to anchor yourself to truth. And he's saying we got to stand up to the strategies of the devil. You got to know what they are. He knows what gets you going. He's going to say some true statements, and he knows when he's going to get you. And here's the other thing he knows. He knows we're not on a happiness quest. He knows, I said that wrong. Back it up. He knows that most of us are on a happiness quest. We're not on a truth quest. Think about this with your kids. When they wanted to do something right now, it's like, hey, we want to play video games. We want to play video games all day. And we say, no. You can't play video games all day. That's not going to be healthy. That's not going to be best for you. You know what my kids don't do? Oh yeah, thank you, Mom and Dad, for the truth. I'm so happy I'm on a truth quest. Just give me more truth. You're so right. Thank you. No, they're like, that does not make me happy. I'm on a happiness quest, and we're no different. So it's good to know if you can just admit that honestly. Most of us were on a happiness quest, not a truth quest. True or false? True or false? Living my way. How I want, when I want, where I want. It's fun. True or false? Is it fun? Yes. True or false? Living my way has led to a lot of pain and regrets, shame, and hurting other people. Absolutely. And you could point to areas in your life. Fun, yes, but it led in a direction I did not want to go. You want to flatten the truth. You're flatten the curve. You're going to put in truth. The fear and anxiety is going up. You're going to flatten that down when you anchor to truth today. So he goes on, he says, Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor so you'll be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then, after the battle, this battle will end, you will be standing firm. Stand your ground. And the first thing you put on is the belt of truth. And then the body armor of God's righteousness, which we'll talk about next week. Let's talk about this belt of truth. let's talk about this because we're not first century Jews, okay? This doesn't quite make sense. We're not a Roman soldier in the army, okay? So let's talk about this. It was like something for your core, all right? It's not a belt buckle that we would put on. It was something that you tied around, and it was big, and it provided support for your core. And these Roman soldiers would be wearing up to 70 pounds of gear, getting ready for a battle. They got all this armor they're going to put on, and the first thing they're putting on is this belt, almost like a girdle, that's going to strengthen and stabilize their core. In some of your translations, again, it sounds weird. Mine that I showed you said, putting on the belt of truth. But it really misses the picture because some of them say, gird your loins, which just, by the way, let's just admit that sounds funny. It sounds weird. Nobody says that. That's probably why it's not in the translations. But there's a picture here that I want you to see. It was not about the belt. Gird your loins. This is an action with the belt of truth. So he's saying, get ready because we're going to get active. And so what he's talking about, these Roman soldiers, if you've seen like Gladiator or something like that, I don't know, picture, but they usually have like these long tunics, guys, almost like wearing like a dress or something like that. It goes down below. But then when they would, or they kind of had some strips on it too if you're a Roman soldier, but it would say gird your loins. And now, you can't quite see it up here, but they're going to take their tunic and they're going to tie it and twist it up in such a way that they're going to tuck it into their belts. So they're going to take whatever's coming. He says, gird your loins with the belt of truth. So I'm going to take my decisions, all right? My decisions, my actions. I'm going to take them and I'm going to run them through truth. I'm going to take my habits, my time, how I'm using my money. I know we got the stimulus plan. Some of you guys have already spent that money. It is gone without even saying, God, why have you given this to me? All right, I'm not trying to guilt you, but it's just, I'm going to take everything that comes my way, my time, how much time I'm spending on Netflix or playing video games or spending on social media or whatever. I'm going to put it in the belt of truth. I'm going to run it by the light. I'm going to take my emotions and my attitudes. I'm going to tuck it into this belt. All right, some of you guys said, hey, I want to go to the beach. I want to go to the mountains. I want to go to all these different places. If you fly, when we get to fly again, you're going to give them your ID, right? When you go up there, and there's going to be the one guy from TSA who takes your ID. He's going to look at the picture, and then he's going to look at your face. But that's not all he's going to do, right? Because these things could be, your license could be counterfeit. There's something that's invisible to us that he's going to run under a special blue light, and he's going to scan it, and he's going to look for something that says, this is a real ID. This is verified. I'm going to run it past the lights before I go and verify that this is real. And he's saying, take all of those things and run it past God. What does God have to say about it? Because that's where you start. That's going to be the core. Now, I know that seems so restrictive. God's all about all these rules. He's got all of this stuff going on. And I've been a part of church, Mike. I've seen God do different things. And it's way too restrictive. No way, man. No. Here's the thing. It actually brings freedom. These guys had these tunics and they were tucking it in. It was actually bringing freedom to move and advance. They're getting ready for a battle. They were in casual mode when they girded their loins with the belt of truth. Now they're ready for battle. Now they can advance. You're free to go. Watch this verse. Watch this verse right here. I'm getting excited. I feel the Spirit moving through this camera right now into your living room. Watch this. Jesus says this. He says, and you will know the truth, and the truth, say this with me, will set you free. He's not trying to restrict you, confine you, take anything away from you. No, he wants to set you free. But you got to run it past the light. Check it with him. We are in a battle. And you don't want to go into this battle blindly. It says it starts with the core. The belt of truth. It's going to give you a solid core framework for stability, because we need some stability right now. I need some stability right now. But not only that, I'm not in a defensive posture. No, I'm now girding my loins so I can be and I can go help other people. I can go spread some hope. I'm in a fighting position now. I'm not on retreat. Jesus says that, hey, I'm going to build my church and not the gates of hell, which the gates meant they were on the defensive. No, the gates of hell will not conquer it. We are on the offense. We're on the advance. Why? Because Jesus is with us, He's for us, and He doesn't lose. So I want to make this practical. All right? I want to give you some practical tips here on how do we take this, how do we deal with this girding our loins. I know we don't use that phrase, but how do we take this truth and apply it in such a chaotic time like this? First thing, if you're taking notes, you got to take some notes. I don't got anything else. So write this out. Number one, take every thought captive. Most of this battle right now is being fought in your mind. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, Paul says this, we demolish. All right? Again, we are on the attack. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. Do you see that? You run it past the light. What does Jesus say about this? I'm going to affirm the truth. If you want a solid anchor today to hold on to, you have to anchor it in the truth. So I want you to know, put it in the comments here because we need some back and forth here. What truth have you been anchoring to? Some of you guys have shared this before. Share it again. What has been your go-to verse? What has been your go-to motto this week that has been your anchor, your truth? Oh, it's not this true-ish stuff. Oh, well, as long as it makes you happy, just go ahead and do it. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. No, that's not. That's going to lead you to a lot of pain and hurt, chasing after the wind. Mine has been, Jesus is with me. Jesus is for me. Jesus always wins. He's in control. He knows what's going to happen. I don't have a cure, but He's the answer. I know that for every single situation. So I want to know, put it in there, write it in there, type it in there. What has been it? Take every thought captive. Spend time with Jesus this week. Get in the group. Get in the Freedom Online group. Share some hope with other people. Let them know. Share a devotion. Get online. Get on video. I mean, this is not easy. This is not fun, but this is what it is, right? And as we saw last week, Paul, he would have been online. He would have been sharing this hope because somebody needs to hear it. So you need to take every thought captive. Second thing, write this down. Humility. Because I've seen too many Christians, I got the truth, and they're going to cram truth down your throat. That is not what our society needs right now. That's not what your friend needs right now. They need truth, but they don't need it shoved down your throat. There's what I love about our church is there's so many people with so many different beliefs. We don't all agree on everything. In fact, I just say if we can disagree on Jesus, that He's the Messiah, He's the one, He's the way to be made right with God, that He died on the cross for our sins, and that He rose from the dead. That's not a feeling. That's a fact. You can disprove that one. Go after that one. The fact that He called His own shot, He died on the cross. They all witnessed it. Eyewitnesses saw it. They could have easily refuted it if His body was there, but no. 3 days later, He was alive again. We're gonna rally around that one. But I'm not. If there's a difference, then I'm going to seek to build relationship. I'm going to have humility. I'm not going to say, well, you're wrong and I got this. If we're in the group and we start seeing that, we might as well just demolish the group. If someone says something and you disagree with, you're like, well, I don't even understand how they could have that thought and still be a Christian. No way. Here's the thing. Then there's something about them that you don't understand. It's relational. I don't understand how you're right, you don't understand. Maybe talk with them and have a conversation so we can have some understanding. I'm not going to cram truth down people's throat. I'm going to share it in a loving way, but I'm going to seek to understand people. So I'm not going to get on a high horse and say, well, we got it right and you got it wrong. No, that's not loving. Third thing is that I'm going to know about truth. Truth is not a what. Truth is a who. Truth is not a what. Truth is a who. Jesus says, I am the way. I am the truth and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. I can't convince you of what truth is. I can't convince anybody about Jesus, that he's the Messiah, that he's the one. I can't convince you of that, but I'm not trying to. All I want you to do, I want you to seek it. What is truth? That's what Pilate asked Jesus. And we don't know if he sought it out. But Jeremiah, God clearly says, if you seek me, you'll find me. When you seek me with all your heart. So all I want to do, if you're here today and you're a Christian, let's seek him together. If you're here today and you're just checking it out, I'm so glad you're here. You're like, Mike, I'm an atheist, or I'm agnostic, or I'm thinking about it. Seek truth. You better seek it out. And all I want to do is just seek it with you. I want to go on this journey with you. I want to take some next steps with you. Ask questions. Because see, I'm going to put all my cards out on the table right here. I'm going to put my cards out on the table. Satan, he just wants you 1 degree off. If he can get you to think, well, I just lived a good life, Mike. I'm not a murderer. I'm not that bad. I live good. I'm in, right? I mean, certainly. I didn't do anything terrible. 1 degree off. Because if that's the case, how good's good enough? If that's the God that we serve, if I'm good enough, then I'm in. That's a pretty jacked up God right now. Because how good's good enough? There's no scorecard. Where am I at right now? Is it 10% good and 90% bad? I live however I want and I'm in? We don't know. Like, what is it? And where am I right now? How good is good enough, if you really nail it down, is pretty ludicrous in the sense that I'm like, I don't know what that would cause a lot of panic in my life if I really truly believe that. He wants you 1 degree off. Jesus, he's very clear. He says it's a relationship with me. That's it. You want to be made right with God. You don't have to earn it and be good and do all these things. It's a relationship. I died on the cross for your sins. I rose from the dead so you can have victory over death, over anything in life. Remember, Jesus is with me. He's for me. He always wins. There's nothing that's ever going to come our way. So when you put your faith in Jesus and just say, he's the one, because he died and he rose from the dead, and I believe he's the Messiah. He's the way, the truth, and the life, the only way to the Father. That invitation's open to everyone. Whoo! Freedom can be found. I remember for myself, I was so scared. I didn't want to give my life to Christ. I'm going to have to change who I am. I'm going to be one of these nerdy Christians, a Jesus freak. I'm going to have to change my personality. All this change, I don't want to do it. All these rules, I don't want to do it. No. When I gave my life to Christ, you know what I found? I found life. I found freedom. I found movement. I wasn't restricted. I could move. I had purpose now. That's what I want for you, and that's what Jesus wants in a relationship with you. He's very clear. There's no denying on what he wants. It's a relationship. Don't go do this, do this, do this. That's religion, and you might have grown up with that. That's not the Jesus that we serve. And the enemy, he wants you off. Just 1 degree of separation. The enemy does not want you to put on the armor. Not even one piece. Certainly don't put on truth. Because when you put on the full armor of God, he knows he doesn't stand a chance. Amen, somebody? Come on. I got to get something, some fire emojis or something. He knows he doesn't stand a chance when you put on the armor of God in your life. Let me read it to you one more time, everybody, because this is it. We're rounding out. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor so you will, say that with me, you will, I will be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then after the battle, this battle's going to be over. Eventually, I don't know when, but I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep putting on that belt of truth, and you will be standing firm. Someone else is going to know Jesus on the other side of this battle because you stood firm. Because you gave hope to somebody else. Not only are you going to be stronger in your relationship with God, somebody else is going to spend eternity with Jesus through you, through a screen, online. Amen, somebody, because that's how good our God is. Jesus is with me. Jesus is for me. And Jesus, he always wins. So my question today is, where's your truth? What is truth today? Are you believing something true-ish? Or are you anchoring yourself in the faith? Maybe today, for the very first time, you want to give your life to Christ. You just know. He's speaking to you right now, to your heart. This isn't about, yeah, you have emotions and feelings right now, but the fact that you're putting your faith in Him is not based on feelings. I'm going to put my trust, I'm banking on you, Jesus. I'm banking on your death and your resurrection, that it covers me. Christianity's been based on an event, and now I'm going to put my faith in it, that it is the truth for my life. I'm going to affirm that, and now I can start marching forward. I'm free to start living with purpose and with life. That's what I want for you today. That's what I want. Thank you for checking in. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to pray us out, and then I got a few last steps. So let's pray together. God, I thank you today. I thank you for your truth. I thank you for your love. I thank you for this technology where we can spread hope faster than the coronavirus. We can love on people in many different ways. And so, Father, I pray for freedom to anchor in the truth. I pray for freedom to be a light and spread hope in Los Alamos and around the world. We thank you for what you've already done in the past couple of weeks, but we thank you for what you're going to do in the road ahead, Jesus. You are with us, you are for us, and you always win. And because of that, now I don't have to cave into my fears. I have fears, but it's not going to paralyze me. I'm moving forward. I'm going to spread hope to somebody this week, and I'm going to give you all the glory. And God, I want to pray right now for the person who does not know you, who you've been calling their name throughout this whole thing. They've stuck with it through this whole thing, and here they are in a moment of decision to say, yes, I want to follow you. And I want to give you that opportunity. I want you, if this prayer won't save you, but this is just your heart, your soul, speaking to God right now. And you can just say this to yourself, or you can say it out loud. Let's all say it out loud together. Dear God, I know I'm a sinner. I've missed the mark. But today I ask you to forgive me of all my sin. Jesus, come into my life to be my Lord and my Savior and my forgiver. And in the best way that I know how, Jesus, I receive you and I receive salvation. I receive that life. Thank you for saving me. Let me just say, if you prayed that prayer, listen. Jesus, He loves you. He's with you. He's for you. He wants a relationship with you. That's it. That's all. Your eternity can be changed just like that. And if it just was, thank you. Not thank you, like awesome, congratulations. And here's what I want to do. I want to partner with you. As a pastor, it's my job to help you take your next step. So all I want you to do, if that was you today, just put your hands in it, like do the emoji hand raise, or say, I gave my life to Christ. Like we want to celebrate with you. And if you're like, I don't want to put that in the comments, send us a direct message, or there's going to be a link posted right now where you can click on that link and you can help tell us which next step you want to take, because you can't go this alone. You need some encouragement. As you're going to see, we need each other during this time. And so while that's one of the best decisions you'll ever make in your life, the next best decision is taking some next step